so we need some music or something.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Grandview Board of Aldermen meeting. I call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is roll call.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Alderman Randolph.
Here.
Alderwoman Jones.
Here.
Alderwoman Turnbaugh.
Here.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Here.
Alderman Maloney.
Here.
Alderman Rousey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer for both our military members and our men in both public safety and other departments here in Grandview as well. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very, very much. You may be seated. The next item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Kendrick.
I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Mayor.
Alderman Randolph.
I'll second.
Thank you. Then moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So tonight's agenda has been approved. The next area is the approval of the minutes from the regular session, June 10th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Turnbaugh.
I move that we have approved the minutes of the regular session, June 10th, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor,
Alderman Rousey.
I'll second.
Thank you. Moved and second. Any discussion?
Mayor.
Alderman Randolph.
I'm going to abstain since I was absent.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So the regular session minutes from June 10th, 2025 have been approved. We have no awards, presentation, or organizational business. And the next item is public comment. Anyone who would like to address the Board of Aldermen, please step up to the mic. You have 3 minutes to address the board, and do sign in with our city clerk. If you have anything to discuss that is other than public hearing, we do have a public hearing regarding zoning map, so we'll have that discussion later. But anything else you would like to step up to the mic and discuss with the Board of Aldermen, you can do this. So it is 7:02, and I declare public comment open. And it's 7:02. I declare public comment closed. Next area is a public hearing. We have a public hearing for the zoning map amendment at 8203 East Outer Belt Road. And it is 7:03, and I declare that public hearing open. We'll have staff come and give us a quick update, and then we will hear from the applicants. And since this is a public hearing, we can hear from those of you in the audience, as well as the Board of Aldermen.
I'll be as quick as I can then. So this zoning map amendment is regarding 2 parcels at the intersection of Missouri 150 and Kelly Road. The 3-acre parcel in the middle is owned by Warren and Ariel Mueller, who are in the audience, and the 25.5-ish acre parcel surrounding it is owned by an organization called OVT LLC, which is represented by Ken Tompkins, also in the audience here. These 2 parcels are part of the M150 corridor, which is a largely undeveloped 2-mile corridor from US 71 highway on the west to Kelly Road on the east, and is the final opportunity for large-scale development within the city. The City of Grandview recognizes through adopted plans, including the M150 Corridor Framework Plan and Grandview 2030, that development along this corridor will have major impacts on the city's character, economic vitality, and sustainability. Both of these plans support dense mixed-use developments on both sides of the corridor to support the city's continued growth and longevity. These 2 parcels, along with 14 other parcels, were all rezoned in December of 2012 by the Board of Aldermen from mostly ag or agricultural and a few other zoning designations to PD in response to the adoption of the M150 Sustainable Development Corridor Framework Plan to prepare these parcels by having the proper zoning in place to support future mixed-use projects. Since the adoption of the M150 Sustainable Development Corridor Framework Plan, there has been increased interest in the area at the intersection of M150 and 71 Highway, including the future Gateway Commons project featuring a grocery store and a McDonald's with additional pad sites. The former Gales All-American Motorcycles location at that intersection is in the process of being purchased by an automatic door company to function as their headquarters, bringing approximately 40 new jobs to the city. Additional projects underway on the corridor itself. City staff is currently in discussion with the property owner and developer of approximately 10 acres of land at Byers and 150 in regard to their proposed multifamily project to bring over 250 new apartment units to the city. The current owners and applicants of these two parcels are wishing to sell their properties and have not yet found a buyer interested in a mixed-use project. The current owners have no desires to develop these properties, and no prospective buyers have expressed a want to utilize the combined 28 acres beyond building one single-family home. The applicants met with city staff in February of this year and submitted their zoning map application on March 25th, 2025, requesting that the zoning of these two parcels be changed from PD or planned district to R1A, large lot single-family residential. Large lot single-family residential zoning is intended for low-density development characterized by single-family homes on larger lots than those in a typical subdivision. This type of development does not provide the city with a significant number of new residents and is taxing on city, county, and state-level infrastructure. In the area surrounding the M150 corridor, recent developments of higher density single-family homes and mixed-use projects have been approved by the Board of Aldermen in recent years, including the River Oaks Golf Course redevelopment project with approximately 70 single-family homes with accessory dwelling units on each parcel, a small commercial center with apartments above the first floor, and a refurbished golf course clubhouse to a wedding venue. As well, Sunrise Farms just completed the second phase of development comprising of 40 new single-family homes on about 5 acres. This zoning map amendment is not in conformance with long-range planning strategies. Grandview 2030, the comprehensive plan, the future land use map notes this area as mixed. This future land use category is summarized as providing space for mixed-use developments, including residential, commercial, and office uses. This zoning map amendment is not consistent with this map. The Board of Aldermen adopted their strategic plan in August of 2024. Featured in this strategic plan are goals for an increased quantity and variety of shopping and dining options and increased owner-occupied housing. As the M150 corridor is the last remaining opportunity for large-scale development and has the opportunity to become a diverse mixed-use regional destination with both commercial and residential uses, this zoning map amendment is not consistent with achieving these goals. The M150 Sustainable Development Corridor Framework Plan, created and adopted in 2012, describes a long-term vision for the corridor as a unique regional destination, a strong and sustainable economic engine, and an interconnected community framed by open space. Future land use maps from the M150 Corridor Framework Plan show these two parcels as a crucial part of a larger regional commercial and mixed-use center on the south portion of Missouri 150 between Byers and Kelly Road. This zoning map amendment request is not consistent with the M150 Sustainable Development Corridor Framework Plan. City staff recommends denial of the submitted zoning map amendment as it is inconsistent with the future land use map from Grandview 2030, the M150 Sustainable Development Corridor Framework Plan, the Board of Aldermen Strategic Plan, the former of which both show this area as being used as part of a larger, higher density mixed-use development. This combined 28-acre property is on the corner of M150 and Kelly Road, making it the potential cornerstone for future large-scale development. Utilizing this area of land directly off the highway for low-density, single-family residential uses is not a sustainable development proposition and does not improve the character of the gateway portion of the city, does not capitalize on future economic development, does not provide tax revenue, does not leverage the improvements made by MoDOT on M150, and does not enhance the quality of development in Grandview. Staff believes that the zoning map amendment, if approved, could lead to significantly reduced development on the Missouri 150 corridor, as it is in direct opposition to all adopted plans. Additionally, this isn't in the report because it hadn't been adopted yet. The Mid-America Regional Council MARC Board of Directors adopted today Connected KC 2050, which is the region's master transportation plan. Included in Connected KC 2050 are population and job growth predictions. So MARC at this time is projecting an increase of population for the region by 17% by 2050, which is about 300,000 people and an additional 150,000 jobs created. Staff believes that Grandview is in an excellent location and is at an excellent time to capitalize on this growth, and that this corridor will be part of our system in the future. Staff ultimately believes this zoning map amendment is a short-sighted attempt to benefit a few property owners in the short term with the possibility of immense harm in the long term by severely altering the character of the corridor at this crucial intersection of M150 and Kelly Road. 28 acres is a significant area of land that could in the future support a multifamily housing development, a shopping center, an entertainment complex, an office complex, or some combination thereof. Utilizing this much valuable space at this location for a single-family home would ultimately hurt the city's long-term growth, compromise future development, hinder sustainability efforts, and lower the desirability of Grandview to developers and residents. The Planning Commission held a hearing on this application on May 7th, 2025. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend denial of the submitted zoning map amendment by a vote of 6-0 on the basis that it was not consistent with adopted plans or goals. Michelle Green, the Planning Commission Chair, is here to elaborate a little bit on what happened at that meeting and why the Commission made the decision that they did.
Okay, well, thank you very much, staff. I want to hear from the applicants next. Again, this is a public hearing, so everybody's going to get a chance to speak. So applicants, anything you would like to add, subtract? We can go from there. Again, state your name and address and do sign in with our city clerk to your right there. No, after you speak is fine. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Ariel Mueller, and we own the 3-acre portion, 8203. And I just want to appeal to your consciences because I hear what's being spoken, but we are being, not to be dramatic, but held hostage with our land. We cannot sell it, and we cannot do anything to use it. And so we really want to be released of that. We have had many people interested in using it for residential purposes. I feel that would be to Grandview's benefit to use it for residential use, especially considering what is going on around it currently. It's been 13 years since 2012, and very little to no development has happened. And so I'm just, how many more years are we going to have to wait until someone is ready to use this for the mixed use, and then we get released from our obligation to hold the land? And so I'm just asking for some mercy here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could you give your address?
Please sign in there. Thank you very much. And again, state your name and address and do sign in as well.
Kenneth Tompkins, 2215 Windside Court, Raymore, Missouri, 64083.
Anything else you would like to add?
Well, everything that comes down Kelly Road, Kelly Road, is all residential. I attach to Kelly Road, and now it's planned development where everything, my property, hers, is planned development. Why not just make that section, that 28 acres, planned development that goes along with everything else that comes down that street, instead of cutting us off to make it business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just makes sense to me to make everything residential for the length of what we're attached to. I mean, 147th Street, you're calling it M150, 150 Highway. It's actually 147th Street. Doesn't have anything on it except for ponds and a couple of houses way down the line, I guess. So I just think it should be zoned residential, just that section. The rest of it can be the planned development stage. When they changed that in 2012, I had no clue that was happening. I never got notice, I never got anything. And I've been taking care of that property since still in my mom's estate. She bought it in 1987, she passed away, my dad passed away in 95, my mom passed away in 96. So I've been dealing with this thing ever since then. So,
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else in the audience would like to address this public hearing? Okay. And anyone else, just line up behind, come on up, state your name and address and do sign in. Anyone else in the audience would like to address this public hearing, please stand up and you can get right in line because we're going to go right down the line, so. No, you go and speak. No, go and speak, and after you speak, yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Green, and I am a resident of the city of Grandview, have been since 2002, and I'm the newly elected chairperson for the Planning Commission. And I do want to speak briefly. Emily pretty much stole my thunder. I had to go back and look at my notes in terms of what occurred during the meeting with the Planning Commission. And as you know, the Planning Commission makes recommendations to the Board of Aldermen. And that night, we did have 6 commissioners that were present at the meeting. I think one of the things in looking back at the minutes and my recollection of what occurred during that meeting was the prevailing thought, I think, was something that Emily mentioned earlier in terms of this not necessarily coming forth and being in the best interest of the city. I think I do recall that the young lady that spoke just a minute ago had expressed some concern regarding the ability to sell the property. But I think part of the question comes whether or not that is, there has to be some sort of balance, and does it one way over the other when you look at whether or not it's in the best interest of the city, not necessarily disregarding what the property owner decides to do with the property. And I think that when we weighed what the city, the staff had presented to us during that particular meeting, I think what the city was recommending pretty much prevailed over. The applicant pretty much just said that that the issue for her was the inability to sell the property. So I think we pretty much had to weigh that with what the goals of the city were in terms of the 2030 plan and the future land use map. So.
Thank you very much. Do sign in, yes. Anyone else that's going to speak on this topic, if you're in the audience, you need to get up and get in line. If not, we'll move on. Yes.
I'm Jennifer Smelter. Do I give my address again?
Yes.
852 Creekmore Pond Lane, Raymore, Missouri, 64083. I'm a real estate agent. I understand the value of what the city wants to do in terms of creating, with jobs increasing, wanting to create development, bring financial reserves into the city. That's part of what the city does. In this particular situation, we have land that has been zoned for years that we have not successfully been able to bring in investors. We've tried with the soccer fields, that fell apart, and we've been hoping to bring them back. We haven't had that success as of yet. So the city has been trying some different things to bring in investors, but has been unsuccessful. The current situation is you have 2 sellers that are wanting to sell that are not able to because of the current zoning. Now, as a real estate agent, I can tell you that there is interest in both of those properties, that if they were zoned residential, we could sell them tomorrow. That's a real fact. But because of the zoning, neither sellers behind us have been able to sell. And I understand if the city wants that for future development. However, I don't think that future development should be at the expense of the sellers. If the city, who also tried this past year to find investors as well, could bring an investor, but they were unsuccessful in bringing an investor either. And so I think if the city wants this to be continued on as planned development, you know, there should be some kind of relief for the sellers that are trying to offload it. If the city is that sure that it can be, build it, and they can find those kind of investors to do that, maybe the city buys the land from them and finds those investors. But as it is right now, it's a lose-lose for the city. It's a lose for the sellers, they can't get out from their properties. It's a lose for the city because they don't have investors either. So neither the city or the sellers are winning in our current situation. So my appeal would be for the city to buy the property from them if they're that confident of the value of the 150 corridor, or to let them sell the property.
Thank you very much. Do sign in, please. Do sign in. We appreciate that. Again, this is a public hearing. Alderwoman Kendrick, you were on the Planning Commission. Anything else you would like to add?
I wasn't at that meeting particular,
Mhm.
so I wouldn't have any insight on that.
All right. Let's start, Alderwoman Jones, and we'll work our way back and forth.
So, Mayor, and pardon me for maybe not knowing the protocols, but what options are there to explore, other options for the current owners?
Well,
Or is this
we can let
strictly to
staff-
deal
We
with?
can let staff give you some advice, you know.
Okay.
Well, the owners are currently pursuing one of their options. Another option would be to hold the properties, or look at selling them at lower price points to an investor. Randy, any?
He's coming.
Okay.
But in essence, there are some options. The question is, which one are they going to choose? So,
And
yes.
so tonight, again, pardon me, is it just to yay or nay the zoning issue?
Not at all.
or
Tonight is just a public hearing, period.
Just, okay.
That's all it is.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
You'll vote on July 8th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Well,
I did have a
Okay,
question.
one second.
Okay.
You want to go on and reply?
Sure. I think Emily did a great job kind of explaining what some of the other options are as it relates to potential uses that would be available to the property owners under the current zoning. Under the current zoning, there are a plethora of uses that would be allowable on that site, again, so long as they conform with our future land use plan and the M150 corridor plan. And so single-family residential is not the only allowable use that is an option for this site. Again, there are numerous possibilities for this site under the current zoning. And so, you know, I know it has been a challenge for the property owners. Again, we've met with them and talked with them on numerous occasions. We are sensitive to the matter at hand, but our responsibility is not only to the two property owners, but to, you know, the 28,000 residents here in the city of Grandview, and the future residents that we believe that are going to come here to Grandview as well, and looking at what is going to be the best well-being of all of those folks that currently live here, that will live here in the future, that will conduct business here in the city, and that is what we have been looking at in making decisions around this matter.
Thank you. So, Alderwoman Jones, does that help answer your question?
Thank you. Yes.
And Alderwoman Kendrick, you had...
Well, I know, Randy, you said that there's a plethora of ideals they can use it for, but could you be more specific for us if there's ability to still sell it as residential and still have commercial on that property? Is there?
So mixed use certainly is an option for this site. PD zoning allows for essentially everything that is all uses that are within many of our residential zoning designations, commercial designations, office zoning designations are all allowed for development within PD zones. There are other requirements when it comes to PD development beyond just the zoning. It requires what is called a conceptual development plan, which is essentially a site plan for what is proposed to be developed there. the conceptual development plans, if it moves forward to that process, one of the requirements for that as well is that those conceptual development plans are also in conformance with our future land use plan and any other corridor plans or area plans that may be in effect for that area.
Okay, thank you. So is there any option for the city to purchase the property?
Well, I can say this, typically the city doesn't, purchase a property unless the city's going to use it. We did purchase the site where the amphitheater is with the purpose in mind that at some point in time, we would build on it. And it took us, I don't know how many years, but eventually we did build on it. So as far as the city being in real estate business, we typically are not. That's not one of the things we do unless it's to utilize. When we purchased the property next door with the whole sole purpose of utilizing that for DMV. So it's typically a purpose behind it.
Just to be the devil's advocate, since we are planning to expand there on 150, wouldn't that be beneficial to the city?
Well, but the city's not going to use it for city purposes. Everything else we've purchased has been for a city purpose, and it was utilized for a city purpose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So next door was city purpose. The off Jones Street was for a city purpose, and the amphitheater, again, that land, all of that land there was, eventually we came up with we knew we were going to use it for the city. It just took us a while, to get the money and then get the plans and conceptual development and so forth, and then we did that.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Yep. No, good question. Alderman Maloney.
Sure. Emily, thank you for the report. It was a little bit more detailed than it was on Tuesday, but I'll be honest, hearing it, it's kind of scary. I almost thought there was a trash dump trying to move in here instead of us just trying to rezone two pieces of property here. I wish Kansas City would have taken that much time and effort into doing that. That would have saved us a lot of problems here. There was a lot of doom and gloom on there, which is interesting for this area that hasn't had any development. I'm one of the last few aldermen that were on the board when we approved this, and next to nothing of the plan has actually come to fruition. In fact, we're actually approving another company to redo the plan at this point here. So I guess I'll just jump to my questions. Ms. Mueller, what's your address? You didn't actually state that.
It's 6403 East 120 Terrace, Grandview, Missouri.
Okay, so you are a Grandview resident?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Right now, do we have any successful residential developments that are in PD?
Sunrise Farms is in PD. The second phase at least, if not another street in it. The River Oaks, that's in PD.
Sunrise Farms started before it was PD? I understand that we've changed it since then. Sunrise Farms started, went bankrupt, sat vacant. We did this plan, then we made it PD. Is that correct on the chain of events on this? So I'm sorry, a successful residential thing that started from PD that went all the way through.
I don't recall what it was,
I think it was
if it changed,
So staff's not telling me any successful time that that's actually happened.
Alderman Maloney, off the top of our heads, without looking at the map and looking at the history of development in the city, this is tough to answer, but we will look into it and give you an answer. If the answer is no, we will say no.
Okay.
If it's a yes, we will say,
I
here are
appreciate
your
that.
examples. But there's a lot of history there, like River Oaks, if I'm not mistaken, over 20 years old.
Sure, but
Sunrise is at least 15. Like that's.
River Oaks is well over 20 years old,
Yeah.
but I'm just,
I said at least.
PD is something, is a
Yeah.
newer thing that we've been
To
kind
be
of
honest
getting
with you,
into.
I don't know, but we'll get back with you on that.
Grand
Okay.
Summit is PD.
Grand Summit is the
Grand
entire
Summit is
test.
PD. The PD zoning designation is also a little bit newer.
Okay.
The housing stock in Grandview is mostly from the 60s and 70s,
Gotcha.
back when you had like 5 zoning designations, and mixed use was not one of them.
Okay. If you could verify that, and also I'm just kind of curious how many acres Grand Summit owns? So when we get back to us on that, the houses directly to the south of the applicants in question here are zoned what? The
They-
10-acre lots or so that have single-family dwelling houses.
The lot directly to the south, and I believe the one directly south of that, are both PD. Those were the lots that had deed restrictions, as we discussed last week. You go much further south than that, and I believe it turns into ag.
And they're all ag with a legal, non-conforming resident or dwelling on top there. Okay. So since we're going to be approving a new plan tonight to reevaluate this, wouldn't this be the perfect time if changes were to happen before a new plan is kind of put into place? Because I guess I'm looking at this old plan, and it was a lot of fond memories. It was a lot of fond hopes and ideas that never came to fruition here. But 10-acre lands with nice big houses is something that I know that my ward and the city doesn't have. So increasing the opportunities to be able to do that seemed a lot more realistic than we don't have any development looking at this currently, right? Any developers?
Well, tonight you'll be approving the ordinance for the contract with Kimley Horn to begin the M150 corridor plan update. Part of their process will be looking at doing an economic and market analysis for the corridor. So I would argue that changing the zoning now for this parcel would be locking in something that hasn't been substantiated by whatever will come of that analysis.
So you would do the analysis with and without this change? So, I mean, if we don't approve this, the analysis isn't going to happen at all, right?
The analysis will happen as part of the corridor, so they'll be.
I'm saying the analysis versus PD versus R1, because that's what they're applying for. Is that correct? So you would just be looking at with
The analysis, the economic analysis is going to look at what is the best and highest use along that corridor based on the existing conditions of the corridor and what is, what expectations are for future development along that corridor. And so that will be done irrespective of what the current zoning is. It will look at, again, what is going to be best for the corridor. So I would second Emily's sentiments in terms of changing the zoning prior to doing that economic analysis, that could potentially lock us out of opportunities to develop this land if that analysis deems that something other than a 10-acre single-family parcel is developed there. Also, I would just add, we discussed during the work session the residential development that is to the south of this parcel. It was discussed that those housing units are there. If this is developed as, again, a single-family home, 2 single-family homes on these parcels, again, we're going to lock ourselves into that development. I think, if we were to look to do some sort of other development at this important intersection and entrance into our city, I think that is going to really challenge us to be able to develop in other ways. And I don't think that it would be in the best interest of the city for future times to look at having to potentially use eminent domain or something along that nature to see a different type of development here if the economic analysis says that 2 single-family homes on 28 acres is not the best use of this land here in our city.
Gotcha. It's always an interesting thought process to figure out what people should do with their property. So it is kind of an interesting thing, and I just know I'm a resident of the city, and I think I'm perfectly fine with having nice houses there. And I guess, as the elected official for here, I guess that's one vote. But one last history question, if you could look it up for me. Do we have any 3-acre PD projects that had to enter into a conceptual development plan? So the reason I'm asking is if one of the acre spots is 3 acres long, if they sell it, whoever buys it only buys 3 acres, they would have to present a conceptual development plan for the 3 acres, right? So I'm just curious what other similar things are in that kind of footprint that we can have, I can kind of compare. Because to me, from an outsider, without having anything to kind of compare it to. It seems like a tall order to ask someone to
I think
do.
kind of one similar example would be actually be directly across the street from here at City Hall. That is a PD development that proposed 60 units of townhomes on that property. That is not substantially different in size than what we have here on these 3 acres that you're asking about.
And if and when that finishes, you think something that was similar to that would be a hindrance on that corner?
Having 60 new units versus 1 or 2 units,
Yeah.
I think certainly having a more dense development on that property, particularly if it is mixed use, would be less of a hindrance than 1 or 2 single-family homes.
Okay, thank you.
Additionally, Grandview Acres at the intersection of 13th and 135th, I believe, is a .8 acre parcel in PD that will be doing 8 single-family homes.
So if
They didn't require a conceptual development plan because they're under 2 acres. They had a preliminary development plan, which is approved by staff, but it's the same process other than that the board doesn't vote on it. It was presented to you last fall as information.
So if you would, if you just get those answers and just email that back, that would be perfect.
And Mayor, I want to
Yeah.
conclude with this. Look, when you look at these kind of conundrums, I totally get it, what we're trying to do as the property owners. The reality that the staff has gone by is the master plan we have on hand and how the planning and zoning looked at this and what their recommendation is. If this is a desire as a collective body, you guys want to change that and deviate from that master plan, obviously that's your prerogative. But fact of the matter is we can only use the tools. This is like writing a ticket. You want to write a bigger ticket, lower ticket, you can't. The tool says up to X amount, and that's what you do in police departments. Same thing with the fire building, and in this case, the ordinances, their code, at the same time, master plan, dictates the recommendation. This is not a personal preference at this point. I just want it to be very clear.
Right.
At the end, this is your vote.
Thank you very much. We're going to start down with Alderman Rousey and work our way back up.
Well, I want to thank Randy and John. Y'all answered all my questions, so I don't have any.
Good, okay. Alderwoman Turnbull, any questions you have?
For starters, I too, as Ms. Meltzer, am a real estate agent. I grew up out in that area, over Horridge Road, which is the Grandview School District boundary. Folks moved out that way for a reason. They wanted to be out in the country. They didn't want to be in the city. My question is, as Ms. Meltzer put it, why not make it residential? I can tell you right now, I have somebody that's approached me as a developer that is looking for property to put several homes on, make it a beautiful situation. And I'm in the agreement that we can change it down the road. But if they can find a way of keeping it residential for now, so these folks can sell it to somebody that is going to develop and put more homes in, which is what we want as a city, is more rooftops. With what's already there to the south of the property that they have, and I know there's a spot in the middle that I'm assuming someone else owns, before the houses, what I believe they're, I think they're 10-acre, Ms. Meltzer, aren't those 10-acre strips out there? The ones south of these guys, that boundary to 155th. I think they're 10 acres. If I remember correctly, they're 10-acre spots. So who says we can't have 2 more 10-acre spots and they can put some sort of a development with more rooftop? If a developer can buy it, it has to be residential in order to buy it. Personally, I'm not seeing it. Maybe Mr. Lindsay's land back west towards 71, that a lot of this comprehensive stuff can go. But that's family homes out there. And the folks that moved out there didn't want to be congested in the cities. That's why everybody comes to Grandview, because we don't have postage stamp yards. We have backyards we got to mow. So my personal feeling is I would love to see it as an R1 so that these people can sell this property. If we have a developer that's willing to come in and build homes, let's put homes there. We need homes. They're not gonna, you're not gonna wanna put a grocery store, and I know nobody cares about Kansas City across the street, but they're not gonna wanna put a grocery store or some kind of business on that piece of property with all of those homes around it. That's my opinion. And so I would like to see it go to R1 if down the road, because this is gonna be quite a little while before we get it. And if you guys remember, as you've said, PD, north, those are homes. So I would like to see that area more as a residential area, kind of what John was mentioning, as opposed to a business for the folks out there, my opinion.
Alderman Randolph, any questions, comments?
Just to make sure I'm clear, so nothing prevents residential from going in PD, right?
Correct.
A developer would just have to come in and do a conceptual development plan.
Yes.
So I guess I'm confused then. If somebody residential wants to buy the land, why is there such heartache over it being PD?
So the Muellers were under contract on both of these properties in January, early February of last year.
Okay.
When they and Ms. Smeltzer, their listing or their real estate agent, came and met with the city for a pre-application meeting to explain what they wanted to do with the parcel. They told us that their plan was to tear down the existing residence, combine the two lots to have one parcel with the 28 acres, build a single-family home and then a large shop building for personal and like some small business usage. City staff referencing the M150 corridor plan, the future land use plan, noted that that might not be the best and highest use for this parcel, and recommended that they pursue other options, although that the conceptual development plan certainly was an option. We let them know what that process looked like, but just that that reflected by the plans that we have adopted, that it might not conform.
Answer your question?
And so then, if it was to flip to R1, I see the 7 principal permitted uses, churches, group homes, so on and so forth. Are those principal permitted uses allowed in PD?
Yes. The principal permitted uses in PD are all of the uses in all of the residential and commercial zones that we have.
So the answer is yes, that is allowed. So, and thank you again for all of you that came out for the public hearing. Thank you for Michelle for giving us an idea of the Planning Commission. I was here for the Planning Commission hearing, so I'm well aware of what transpired. One of the commissioners even asked the question, this sounds like spot zoning. And that was part of the discussion that went on. Yes, there's a lot of opportunities we have here. There's a lot of things that can be done in PD. Once you look at the report here, yes, a lot of different options are available. And I think that is, that's goodness. And yes, we've got a lot of vacant land in Grandview, right over there behind Gales, has been vacant for since Grandview started. And now it looks like we may have development going in there. So just because it's vacant doesn't mean development will not come. And yes, it has been a while. And, we continue to do what we can. Again, this is a public hearing. We're just providing feedback and so forth. Next Tuesday, we'll be voting on which direction we should go.
Mayor.
But today is public hearing only. That's right, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, absolutely. So this is public hearing only. So we're here to hear, and we can go from there.
Mayor,
Yes,
may I ask one question to the property owner?
yes.
To be clear, I'm going to stand up for you guys, but to be clear, what I need clarification on, are you still planning on just putting a property with barns or whatever? I need the clarification as to what you guys are wanting to do with the property, because where they are discussing wanting to put one big home and outbuildings and this sort on there, is that still your plan, or are you planning on
Well,
just
step
selling?
up to the mic, if you would, to respond. What Emily was saying, that was the original request.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, just to be clear,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
everybody's clear that that's not what you're doing now.
No, we,
Okay.
we have moved on, and my husband has rented a shop building in the south of Kansas City now. And so now we just want to be released from this and be able to sell it. And
So you don't have any direct development plans on that property, you just want to sell it to somebody that can do whatever they want with it?
No, we were told that any plans that we had that didn't conform with the M150 corridor plan would not pass the committee, the planning committee.
Planning Commission.
Yes, planning commission. And so when they let us know of that, when we found out about the M150 plans, we said, okay, we want out. We had already signed a no cancel contract on the 3 acres, and so now we're stuck with that.
But it can be changed. We're just discussing, it hasn't been voted yet. So
Yes,
that was
yes,
my
yeah,
clarification was,
Yes.
you can take that whole 28 acres between both families and sell it
Yeah.
as one for a
Yes.
developer or somebody else to
Yeah,
do
they could
something.
be combined and then parceled out into 10-acre lots like.
Thank you very much for the clarification. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just had one clarifying question Alderman Randolph asked and Emily answered here. So he asked if residential could go into PDs, or is that?
Correct.
Okay, so if they wanted, or if I went and bought it and I still wanted to put a single-family dwelling house, I could still do it in PD as long as I submitted a conceptual development plan,
And said conceptual development plan was approved, yes.
and if it was approved.
Yeah.
Would you recommend approval?
No.
Okay, so,
Because of the corridor.
Yes,
plan.
exactly.
It'd be the same reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Planning Commission will have that same question and answer accordingly based on that as well. Well, again, thank you very much. The time is 7:46. I declare the public hearing closed. The next area on the agenda is consent items. Is there a motion to approve consent item C through I?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Jones.
I move that consent items C through I be approved.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Kendrick.
second.
Then moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So consent items C through I have been approved. The next area is ordinances. Is there a motion on bill number 7852?
Mayor,
Alderman Randolph.
make a motion to put bill number 7852 on its first reading.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor,
Alderman Rousey.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Bill number 7852, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a contract with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated for professional services to complete an update to the M150 corridor plan.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Maloney.
Randy, I was just curious if you could explain the need for this. So we just were discussing the M150 corridor plan. If this zoning is for the future, the zoning has kind of been set. Why am I paying $70,000 for this?
I think partly because of the conversation we just had. A big part of the update to this plan is going to be, again, to do an economic analysis of the corridor. With that economic analysis, they will be looking at, again, what are the, rooted in reality, what are the realistic uses that are going to be the best and highest use for the property along the corridor, and then to make recommendations as it relates to potential changes to zoning and our future land use map as well.
Gotcha. Has there been any major changes in that corridor? I mean, I understand it's been 12, 13 years and the economy has changed, between different things, but has there been major development in that corridor?
I think the addition of additional units at Grand Summit is certainly a substantial development that has occurred. Excuse me, the additional, near the corridor, the addition of the new 40 homes at Sunrise Farms, I think is a substantial development there. And again, what is proposed at the former Gales and the surrounding property there, we also have the new brewery that is there and some other out parcels that have been developed along that corridor within that time period as well. And then looking further to the west, outside of Grandview, there has been significant development that I think has the opportunity to have a ripple effect on development here within Grandview as well.
So you're saying on the Kansas City section of 71 going towards state line, the west?
Correct.
150.
sorry?
Talking about 150.
Well, he said
Yeah,
development to the west.
Honeywell
So he
and
said-
the other development
He
along
said
there.
71, and you said
He said
150.
Honeywell, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Alderman Randolph.
So, Randy, question for you. So I'm gonna go to the east though on 150. So 150 and prior, they built the subdivision of attached homes right there. Do you know where I'm referring to?
I'm sorry. Can you say
On
that?
150 and prior
Yes.
to the east, they
Yes.
built all those attached homes, sold out like that. Could a development like that go on this parcel?
I think it certainly.
As it's currently zoned?
Under its current zoning, it potentially could, yes. Again,
Would that conflict with our outdated corridor plan? Because it seems like the plan was rooted all in, the golf complex was coming and commercial this,
Soccer.
commercial that.
No, this is before the golf.
Yeah.
Oh,
Soccer.
well,
So-
okay,
or the
well,
soccer
I'm
complex.
Yeah,
well,
before
catch me
that.
up, because I'm a housing guy,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I'm still struggling to understand why, residential developers aren't jumping on this plot of land, this 31 acres or whatnot,
so I think this is
28.
slightly off topic from kind of this discussion, but
25,
one of the challenges with developing that property is that the closest sewer connection is approximately a mile away, and so that requires a substantial investment from a developer to develop on that parcel as well.
That sounds like a bigger issue. Okay.
Yeah, but if you have multiple homes there,
I
it makes
get
it
it,
a
yeah.
lot
Yeah, I
easier
get it.
than a single
I
home or
get it.
two homes. So,
Okay.
good point.
All right.
Any
Thank you.
further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Randolph.
Aye.
Alderman Rousey.
Aye.
Alderman Maloney.
Aye.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Aye.
Alderwoman Turnbaugh.
Aye.
Alderwoman Jones.
Aye.
Motion for second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Maloney.
move that bill number 7852 be placed on second reading.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor.
Hey, Mayor.
Alderwoman Jones.
I second.
Thank you.
Bill number 7852, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a contract with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated for professional services to complete an update to the M150 corridor plan.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for final passage.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Maloney.
move that bill number 7852 be placed on final passage and said bill be enacted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Turnbaugh.
second.
Thank you.
Alderman Maloney.
Aye.
Alderwoman Turnbaugh.
Aye.
Alderman Randolph.
Aye.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Aye.
Alderwoman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Rousey.
Aye.
Ordinance number 7589.
So bill number 7852 has passed. It's now ordinance 7589. Is there a motion on bill number 7853?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Turnbaugh.
I move that bill number 7853 be pushed on its first reading.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor.
Alderman Randolph.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Bill number 7853, an ordinance authorizing Evergy to install additional streetlight at East Frontage Road and East 129th Street intersection.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Turnbaugh.
Aye.
Alderman Randolph.
Aye.
Alderman Rousey.
Aye.
Alderman Maloney.
Aye.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Aye.
Alderwoman Jones.
Aye.
Motion for second reading.
Mayor.
Alderman Randolph.
Move that bill number 7853 be placed on its second reading.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor.
Alderman Rousey.
Second.
Thank you.
Bill number 7853, an ordinance authorizing Evergy to install additional streetlight at East Frontage Road and East 129th Street intersection.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Maloney.
can someone give us a little bit of background on this one?
Yes, this is to install, currently the intersections of East 129th Street and East Outer Roads is dark. It doesn't have a street light, and per our current street light policies, we do require to install a street light at an intersections. The reason why there wasn't one here, there was MoDOT right-of-way used to have a street light on their MoDOT right-of-way at that intersections. It's got removed together with the conversion, I-409 conversion project that was completed in December of 2022. I wasn't here during the design portions, but maybe there was a lack of communications between MoDOT and the cities. The street light never got put back on. And I did drive by this intersection after when the sun went down, and this intersection is dark and it's a safety concern.
Gotcha. So is it going in there right away?
No,
or-
it will be on our right of way. It's attaching to the existing AVG pole, wood pole.
So is it their
we just added
former right
on.
away then?
That's right. I think it-
Because we took the right of way. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious, because usually there's like petitions that have to be signed, and residents have to like approve too, so I was just wondering why I didn't see that in there, is because it's technically it's our property, and we're just asking them to do it, and we're willing to pay for it,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Just
That is
making sure.
correct. That is
Okay.
correct.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for final passage.
Mayor,
Alderman Randolph.
move that bill number 7853 be placed on final passage and said bill be enacted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Turnbull.
I second.
Thank you.
Alderman Randolph.
Aye.
Alderwoman Turnbull.
Aye.
Alderman Rousey.
Aye.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Aye.
Alderwoman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Maloney.
Aye.
Ordinance number 7590.
So bill number 7853 is passed, is now ordinance 7580. Is there a motion on bill number 7848?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Turnbull.
I move that bill number 7848 be placed on first reading.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Second.
Thank you.
Bill number 7848, an ordinance amending Chapter 6 of the Code of Laws of the City of Grandview, Missouri relating to alcoholic beverages.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderwoman Turnbull.
Aye.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Aye.
Alderman Rousey.
No.
Alderman Jones. Alderwoman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Randolph.
Aye.
Alderman Maloney.
Aye.
Motion for second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Randolph, and
Move it.
then Alderman Maloney can second.
I move that bill number 7848 be placed on its second reading.
Thank you. Alderman Maloney.
Second.
Thank you.
Bill number 7848, an ordinance amending Chapter 6 of the Code of Laws of the City of Grandview, Missouri relating to alcoholic beverages.
Any discussion? I want to say thank you again to those of you that brought this to our attention. We really do appreciate that. Whenever we can do whatever we can to make the city of Grandview better and more efficient. You know, you went to the chamber, and Liz was a very good spokesperson for you, and we are grateful for that. Carrie was instrumental in working with Chief of Police to go through the process to ensure that we worked well together, and then Melissa made sure that she knew what all the other municipalities were doing. So it has been helpful for us to learn a great deal, and to those of you in the audience that was not a part of the conversation, as we look at this change, we are not doing anything more. We are continuing to be as legal as possible and as informed as possible through the process. So once again, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We really do appreciate that. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Sorry. Alderman Maloney.
Aye.
Alderman Randolph.
Aye.
Alderman Rousey.
No.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Aye.
Alderwoman Jones.
Aye.
Alderwoman Turnbull.
Aye.
Motion for final passage.
Mayor,
Alderwoman Kendrick.
I move that bill number 7848 be placed on its final passage and said bill be enacted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor.
Alderman Randolph.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Aye.
Alderman Randolph.
Aye.
Alderman Maloney.
Aye.
Alderman Rousey.
No.
Alderwoman Jones.
Aye.
Alderwoman Turnbull.
aye.
Ordinance number 7591.
So bill number 7848 has passed. It's now ordinance 7591. So the next item we have is other business. So for other business, I'm starting on my right with Alderman Rousey and work my way this way.
Well, I want to say the concert Friday was great. If you wasn't there, you missed a good concert. Jared, how many people did we have? I think about 400 and something.
More than 650 people, to
650
be
people.
exactly, okay?
In the heat.
Oh, boy.
And it was really hot, but it was a good concert. Looking forward to the next one.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Yes? Anything?
No, nothing for me right now.
Okay. Anything? All right. Let's go down. Anything?
Yes, I had three small things here. In Emily's report here, she was mentioning the old Gales Harley-Davidson. Can staff kind of give us an update? She mentioned there was a particular company going in there, and last I've heard, it was just up for sale.
They have a contract. That contract has not been closed at this point. It is a company that is a big distributor for all kinds of garage doors and equipment, motors, and so on and so forth. It's going to be a showroom. But until they're closed, it's not sold.
You got a down payment, no?
Well, still it's not closed.
Yeah.
Down payment is
Yeah,
one thing.
not closed, right.
No, it's not closed.
Okay. The strip of property that's owned by out-of-town folks behind, to the north of the amphitheater, behind the row of houses. We've had to mow this grass every year. We could do this, but there's been illegal dumping, and the contractor does not pick up the trash, and they barely mows. He just kind of knocks it down. Can we actually make sure it gets cleaned up and looking better? Because there's dumping on the side of the fence closest to buyers, but then also back a ways on that street line. So I guess I just had a little higher expectation of the contractor, that being part of it, the illegal dumping and the cutting of the grass.
Behind the amphitheater?
It is to the north of the amphitheater. So there's the access road to the power district, but then that strip of land is owned by somebody from California. Every year we always have to mow it, but it's looking pretty shabby, but they've just semi-mowed around the brush pile, so it's just growing up into the brush pile. So and I emailed earlier about Calm World, and after I emailed, there's a strip behind Calm World and the back of those fences that isn't mowed. And there was a reason for it, and I can't remember what it was. Can we figure out when we talked to them, because I remember you were out of town. I think Kurt had to take care of this thing at the time here last year or two, but I was just curious what it is. I can't remember if it was easement or, whatever their thought process was, but I was just wondering if the current owners might have had the same thought process. So. But I was just kind of curious if we could look back on that and just try to figure out what the issue was. It wasn't just because the rest of Calm World looks great. They have a company that's paid to cut it. And so they just don't do the other side, including all the way up to High Grove here. But there was a reason. I'm just trying to figure out what the reason was. Thank you.
Anything?
I just want to say that going to the elected official training was very enlightening. Got to meet other elected officials in different cities, so it was great meeting other people and learning a lot. So thank you for that opportunity. And also, again, on the reggae concert, it was wonderful. It was great. I enjoyed myself. The heat wasn't that bad, but it was an enjoyable evening.
Awesome.
And thank you to Parks and Rec for putting that on.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anything?
I also attended the MML conference, and it was very beneficial, so appreciate that opportunity as well.
Fantastic.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to those of you who went to the MARC Awards. That was fantastic to see the people being awarded for some fantastic things. So that worked out well. So again, thank you for going and participating in that event. And we've already mentioned the concert, more than 650 people. Farmers Market had more than 16 vendors there. Realizing, yes, I know produce won't be coming until next month sometime, but at least there are a number of vendors there.
Good.
And that's good news, and hopefully that will continue to grow. Yes, later. So that is, heading in the right direction. So if you would, Jared, tell Megan it's looking good, and she says that she's got more than 20 vendors already on her list. So I'm sure some weekends are going to be more, some less, but heading in the right direction. So thank you. And I'm going to say this gingerly. Congressman Cleaver, his staff reached out, and maybe there's a chance of getting some funds for our marketplace, our Main Street marketplace. Oh, wow. So there are discussions going on. Grandview's in the mix. Grandview's in the is it the finals or what? You know, I know we had the NBA finals, but Grandview's in the finals, and hopefully that becomes a reality as well. So we're heading in the right direction.
Mayor, when you make it to the list, there are probably hundreds of millions of dollars asked. This is the third year in a row we made it to the list. First year, we got $4.6 million. Second year, there was about 1.25, but the president vetoed that one. This needs to go through the process, but you get this shiny piece of paper, and it says there's $3.5 million for Grandview. We're happy to hear that news, but it's not done yet. Still needs to be signed, and the budget needs to be approved first, and the president needs to sign off on it. But this is direct allocation to the city and staff, everyone who worked on this, including mayor. Yeah, there are rare occasions you get an invite to go after these earmarks.
Anything else, sir, you have for staff before we go to our next
The last
meeting?
thing I'm going to mention is we want everybody's patience because we're doing a lot of road projects and it's hot. So we're closing lanes, we're closing sidewalks, we're door tagging, and our warning conversations with our contractor was very fruitful. They even updated their own door tags and fixed their languages and what have you. But we have a lot more. So every week it's a new project, new road, new conundrum, but it's hot out there and the rain is going to slow us down a little bit. So patience.
Appreciate it. The time is exactly 8:06. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Mayor?
Alderwoman Turnbull.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor?
Alderwoman Kendrick.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are officially adjourned. If you turn off your